ask me how I know, and I'll tell you so. She used to be my girl.
Remember that IT guy who had everyone grooving to his tunes, making us feel like he was destined to rub shoulders with the likes of Usher and Charlie Wilson? Yeah, he went from humble beginnings in the projects to dropping platinum albums, belting out melodies that echoed the soulful vibes of a young Teddy Pendergrass and Luther Vandross. Jaheim was even hailed as the male counterpart to Mary J. Blige, on his way to cementing his status as one of the great R&B soul singers of our time. But then, like a flick of a switch, his star seemed to fade. Jaheim vanished from the mainstream scene, leaving us all scratching our heads and wondering, what happened? It's been a hot topic of conversation, with folks everywhere speculating about why Jaheim ghosted us and the music industry. Well, it looks like we might finally get some answers because Jaheim is making a comeback, and word on the street is he's gearing up to spill the beans on why he left the music industry in the first place. So if you're itching to know all the juicy details, then buckle up because we're about to dive deep into Jaheim's journey. So Jaheim, straight out of Memorial Parkway Public Housing Project, spilled the beans to CNN about his upbringing, and let me tell you, it was no walk in the park. When he was just a wee lad of 2, tragedy struck with the passing of his old man. But his mom, Julie, along with their tight-knit crew, including his granddad, the late soul sensation Hoagland, held it down. Jaheim didn't have it easy, though. Growing up in those projects was like navigating a minefield. He admitted to CNN that he found himself tangled up in all sorts of trouble, tagging along with the older crowd in the hood. It wasn't long before he found himself behind bars, facing the consequences of his actions. But you know what they say, sometimes hitting rock bottom is just the wake-up call you need. And for Jaheim, that stint in the slammer got him thinking hard about where his life was headed. Then one day, he rolls up to a recording studio with his crew from the block. He steps into the booth, belts out a soulful rendition of Luther Vandross's Never Too Much over a bumping club beat, and boom, the crowd goes wild. Talking to Essence, Jaheim revealed that moment was a game changer. It lit a fire under him to ditch the streets and focus on his music. At the tender age of 15, he graced the stage at the Apollo Theater, delivering a knockout performance of Luther's classic, A House Is Not a Home, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and walked away with the crown each time. With all that buzz swirling around him, Jaheim thought he was about to hit the big time. Labels came knocking, eager to sign him up and make him the next big thing. But as luck would have it, none of those deals ever materialized. So when Jaheim hit 16, life threw him a curveball that knocked the wind right out of him. His beloved mom, Julie, passed away, and that hit him hard. He found himself slipping back into his old ways, getting caught up in the same troubles that had plagued him before. For a solid 6 years, it felt like he was stuck in a never-ending cycle of getting locked up time and time again. But just when he thought he was stuck in a rut, fate stepped in and flipped the script. His demo somehow found its way into the hands of DJ K. from Naughty by Nature. Next thing you know, Jaheim signing on the dotted line with K.G's Divine Mill record and dropping his debut album, Ghetto Love, in 2001. With his smooth vocals, baggy threads, and bling-bling diamond chains, Jaheim became known as the Thug of R&B. And boy, did he wear that title with pride. Fast forward to 2002, Jaheim drops Still Ghetto, featuring the smash hit Put That Woman First, a platinum banger that struck a chord with fans everywhere. Turns out, the inspiration for that track came straight from Jaheim's own experiences in relationship, as well as witnessing his mom's journey through love. People couldn't get enough of his raw lyrics and powerhouse vocals, eagerly awaiting his next move in the music game. But life, being the unpredictable roller coaster it is, had other plans. On June 14, 2004, Jaheim found himself in a bit of a pickle outside a 7-Eleven in Hillsborough Township, New Jersey. Picture this, he's just minding his own business when suddenly an officer comes strolling up. Next thing he knows, Jaheim's hit with charges for allegedly having some substance in his car and resisting the officer's orders. Ended up with a 90-day stint behind bars. But Jaheim wasn't about to take the conviction lying down. Nope, he appealed that sucker in 2005. And guess what? A judge threw out the charges faster than you can say innocent. Turns out, the officer who searched his ride didn't have the proper authority, so boom, case closed. But life still threw him a curveball. He might have dodged 1 bullet, but he still ended up with 2 years of probation, mandatory anger management sessions, and even had to pen a heartfelt apology letter to the officer for getting a little too feisty during the arrest. Still, Jaheim was just relieved that the whole substance conviction mess was finally behind him. But wait, there's more. Fast forward to 2005, and Jaheim's cruising in his luxury wheels when bam, he gets blindsided by a tractor trailer. Total wreck. Years later, he's still feeling the effect, opening up to the R&B Philly website about the ongoing struggle to recover from that crash. Some days are better than others, but he's still dealing with that pesky neck twitch and popping in to see the chiropractor every now and then. then. Thing is, between juggling his career and keeping the music flowing, he never really had the chance to give his body the TLC it needed to fully bounce back. Jaheim wasn't about to leave his fans hanging. Luckily, he had his own recording setup right in his New Jersey crib. He wasted no time and dove headfirst into crafting his third album, which he cleverly dubbed Ghetto Classic. Why that title, you ask? Well, according to Jaheim himself, he's got mad love for the street. It's where he's from, after all. Fast forward to 2006, and boom, Ghetto Classics hits the shelf. This time around, Jaheim stayed true to his roots, keeping the vibe raw and real with tracks chronicling inner-city life, and fans ate it up like it was their last meal. The album shot straight to the top of the charts, snagging that coveted #1 spot and moving a whopping 150,000 copies in its first week alone. Jaheim decided to switch things up and said peace out to Divine Mill Records, opting instead to sign on the dotted line with Atlantic, and they wasted no time putting him to work. They hooked him up with a collab opportunity that was too good to pass up, recording the DJ Don't remix alongside the legendary Gerald Levert for Tyler Perry's flick Why Did I Get Married? That same year, Jaheim dropped his fourth album, The Makings of a Man. Now you'd think with all that talent and star power, he'd be riding high on the charts, right? Well, not quite. His track Never barely made a blip on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at a measly 76. To make matters worse, critics weren't exactly singing his praises either. Pop Matters had some harsh words, claiming Jaheim's tunes about hustling and baby daddy drama were starting to sound tired and cliche. In 2007, Jaheim dropped some big news on Billboard magazine. He was gearing up to make his big screen debut in a Paramount flick based on a true story. Sounds pretty exciting, right? Well, fast forward to today, and it looks like that movie's still stuck in development limbo. But even with dreams of Hollywood stardom dancing in his head, Jaheim made it clear that music was still his main squeeze. In fact, he told Billboard that he was in it for the long haul, planning to belt out tunes as a pro singer for at least the next 3 decades. Cut to 2010, and Jaheim's back in the studio cooking up some new jams. He drops his album Another Round, featuring the soulful banger Finding My Way Back. This heartfelt track, dripping with vibes straight out of the early 70s, became an instant fan favorite. Sure, it might have only peaked at number 95 on the Billboard Hot 100, but that didn't stop Jaheim from snagging not 1, not 2, but 3 Grammy nods. 2010 wasn't exactly smooth sailing for Jaheim. Just when he thought he was riding high on the success of Another Round, he found himself in hot water yet again. He was cruising down the streets of New Jersey at a cool 65 in a 35 zone. Yeah, not the smartest move. And to make matters worse, when the cops pulled him over, they caught a whiff of something funky coming from his ride. Next thing you know, Jaheim's giving the green light for a search, and lo and behold, they find a little something stashed under his driver's seat. According to NewJersey.com, it was game over. This whole ordeal had folks speculating that Jaheim was battling some pretty hefty demons behind the scenes. And just like that, he vanished from the spotlight once again. So after a bit of a disappearing act, Jaheim made a comeback in 2013 with his album Appreciation Day. According to Jaheim himself, the title track Age Ain't a Factor was all about reminiscing over a lost love. Sadly though, the album didn't quite hit the mark. It kind of flopped, but Jaheim wasn't about to let a little setback keep him down. In 2014, he decided to take matters into his own hands and launched his very own record label, Julie's Dream Music Group, and he even scored a sweet deal with BMG Records to make it all official. Fast forward to 2016, and Jaheim's dropping his 7th studio album, Struggle Love. Along with the new tunes, he also debuted a fresh new look. Let's just say the public wasn't exactly feeling it. In fact, Charlemagne from The Breakfast Club even went so far as to crown Jaheim the donkey of the day for his questionable hairstyle choice. Jaheim tried to clap back and defend himself, but it didn't exactly end well. Instead of silencing the haters, he kinda just ended up feeding the fire, and the online ridicule just kept on coming. Now, Jaheim's no stranger to getting roasted online. Remember when he showed up to Whitney Houston's funeral sporting this look? Yeah, the internet had a field day clowning on him for that one. Word on the street is he even got denied access inside the venue. But it wasn't all bad news. Despite the online backlash, Jaheim still had plenty of fans showing him love outside the event. After that whole debacle, Jaheim pretty much dipped off the mainstream music radar for a while. That is until March 2019 rolled around and things got real interesting. An Instagram user by the name of Gordon Davis reaches out to flyhigh.com with a wild story. He claims he hops into an Uber outside his Atlanta hotel, only to find Jaheim behind the wheel. The man claims Jaheim said he was in town to visit a relative but ran out of cash, so he's driving Uber to make ends meet. Cue the shock and disbelief. Could it be that Jaheim, the R&B sensation, has hit rock bottom? Well, not so fast. Vin Rock from Naughty by Nature steps in and calls BS on the whole story. According to him, it's nothing but fake news from some sketchy blog with no credibility. And he added that with Jaheim's star power, he could easily rake in 15 grand a week just from performing gigs. So why would he need to resort to driving for Uber? Jaheim's bread and butter has always been his music. He's a natural-born talent when it comes to belting out those soulful tunes. According to him, hitting the road and performing his tracks live brings in some serious cash. But when it comes to album sales, well, let's just say the numbers don't quite add up. Jaheim spilled the tea to all hip-hop, revealing that while he's making bank from his performances, he's basically getting peanuts for the albums he's dropping. But don't go feeling sorry for him just yet. Jaheim's actually pretty content with where he's at in the industry. Chatting with Page 6 back in 2017, he opened up about finding his groove and taking control of his music career. Running his own label gives him the freedom to call the shots and do things his way. Sure, there are some shady characters in the business that he's not too fond of, but overall, he's digging his new gig. Stepping back from the industry spotlight also brought about some changes in Jaheim's personal life. Flash forward to 2018, and he's rocking a lighter hairdo and slimmed down physique. But wouldn't you know it, the internet just can't resist poking fun at his new look. Jaheim took to his Instagram to set the record straight about his new look. He made it crystal clear that his slimmed-down physique had nothing to do with any sketchy substances. In fact, he'd kicked those habits to the curb years ago. So, what's the secret behind his weight loss? A meat-free diet. He even dropped a cooking tutorial on his followers, featuring some next-level recipes like using whole banana peels. But here's the thing, Jaheim's personal life has always been a hot topic. From day one, he's faced questions and rumors about his preferences. Remember that time he sat down with Sway at Hot 97 and things got heated real quick? Allegations about his relationships with other men were flying left and right, and Jaheim wasn't having any of it. In fact, he straight up started tossing equipment around in a fit of rage. When all hip-hop caught up with him later and asked about his blow-up, Jaheim chalked it up to being young and hot-headed. Looking back, he realizes folks were just trying to get a rise out of him, and he fell right into their trap. Also, word on the street is Jaheim's been making waves in the industry for all the wrong reasons. Singer Helena Johnson spilled the tea, claiming she almost threw down with Jaheim back in 2005 over some song credit drama. And radio host Russ Parr also claimed Jaheim straight up lost his cool during an interview, knocking over mics and tables before storming out. But Jaheim's not just about drama and chaos. Deep down, all he really wants is some respect. He made it clear to Essence magazine that he's in the game to leave his mark and give something back to the industry. And you better believe his fans are riding shotgun, ready to support him every step of the way. Sadly, it looks like things might be hitting a rough patch on the business front for Jaheim. Word on the street is, back in June 2019, he straight up ghosted a music festival in St. Louis not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. And to make matters worse, there wasn't even an official explanation for his disappearing act. Concert goers were left scratching their heads and scrambling for refunds. Sure, he popped up on Angie Stone's 2019 album, Full Circle. But as for when Jaheim's gonna bless us with another studio album of his own, well, your guess is as good as mine, folks. And just when fans were hoping for some clarity, Jaheim goes and drops a bombshell on his Instagram in July 2019, announcing that he's hitting pause on his performances for the time being. Fast forward to 2021, and it seems like Jaheim's luck just keeps taking a nosedive. The poor guy found himself in hot water yet again when he got slapped with animal cruelty charges. New Jersey cops rolled up to his crib in Hillsborough after getting a tip about a puppy in distress, and what they found was straight up heartbreaking. Turns out there were multiple dogs at Jaheim's place, and some of them were in such bad shape that one had to be put down. To make matters worse, Jaheim ended up getting arrested on the spot for an unrelated probation violation in Somerset County, plus a couple of warrants from Hillsborough Township in Newark. When the cops showed up at Jaheim's place, they sprang into action, making sure those poor pups got the care they desperately needed. As they waited for animal control to roll in, they made sure the dogs had water and some TLC. But things took a grim turn when officers heard barking coming from inside the house. Turns out, there were even more dogs in dire straits. A whopping 9 of them, all skinny and starving, with no food or water in sight. That brings the grand total to 15 dogs found at Jaheim's crib. To make matters worse, 2 of those pups were in such bad shape that they needed emergency treatment from a vet. Tragically, one of the pit bull terriers was beyond help and had to be put down. The other dogs were whisked away to a local facility for a thorough checkup and some much-needed care. As for Jaheim, well, he ended up facing some serious charges, including third-degree animal cruelty and failing to provide proper care for those poor animals. And just when you think things couldn't get any crazier, he goes and challenges Usher to a versus battle on Instagram. For those not in the know, Versus is this series where they pit two heavy hitters from the music world against each other, letting them flex their discographies in a head-to-head showdown. Jaheim's out here claiming that he and Usher are on the same level when it comes to music royalty. He's basically throwing down the gauntlet, daring Usher to step into the ring and go toe-to-toe with him. The 2000s R&B singer hit Instagram and posted a picture of Usher and himself that someone captioned, "Let's settle this once and for all." Who brought up this idea? Who knows? With that said, Jaheim is running with it. "Someone set it up! Let's move all the pawns out the way," Jaheim wrote on social media. "King move, but if you are scared, I'll just say checkmate. I will give Usher 1 month to step up. Nothing personal. He's one of the best." Respectively. Appearing in comments of a separate post, Jaheim doubled down on his challenge. "I'm with all the smoke. You, the fans, can make this happen immediately. I'm so serious." Jaheim throwing down the gauntlet and challenging Usher to a Versus battle got so many people confused. Sure, Jaheim's got his own set of hits and bangers, but let's be real here. Usher's been holding court as the king of R&B for decades. Dude's got a laundry list of accolades under his belt, from Grammys to Billboard Music Awards and everything in between. And yeah, Jaheim might have snagged a BET award for Best Male R&B Artist back in 2003, but he's got some big shoes to fill if he wants to take on Usher. Of course, social media didn't waste any time chiming in on the whole situation, and Jaheim caught some serious flack for his bold move. One fan said, "Jaheim thinking he should be considered in a Versus battle with the Usher who has a sold-out residency in Vegas is the funniest thing of the week, and the week is just getting started." Another fan said, "Jaheim calling out Usher for a Versus. He has got to be talking about a Usher at Mount Zion Baptist." But with everything, there were still fans who had Jaheim's back and thought he could totally hold his own against Usher. Like this fan who said, "I cannot believe some of these comments. First of all, Ja can sing. His voice is one of the best, and I know good singing voices. Whitney, Keek Wyatt, Ariana Grande, Jasmine Sullivan, etc. You get it. Chris Brown, Marvin Sapp, Luther, you get it. He has albums that you must not have listened to. Great songs. I know his name is not out there like Usher's, but he has a lot of good songs that actually should have been hits. I would just love to hear both of them sing. Leave his personal life out of this. People can be so petty and judgmental. Stop that. I give Ja his props. Y'all can't knock him for his God-given gift of a beautiful voice. With 5 million records sold worldwide and a bunch of Grammy nominations along the way, his music speaks volumes, with classic hits that'll stand the test of time. Sure, he might not be as in-your-face in the music scene these days, but that doesn't mean we should forget about him. Jaheim deserves all the love and respect for blessing us with so many unforgettable tunes, and he's even hitting the road with Keisha Cole, K. Michelle, and Trey Songz for a tour right now. So yeah, Jaheim might not be grabbing headlines like he used to, but he's still out there doing his thing. Anyway, what's your favorite Jaheim song? Drop it in the comments below, and we'll catch you in the next video.